medical cannabis and my YouTube channel. So you probably didn't know I had a YouTube channel. It's kind of a secret. I don't talk about it much because I'm not real confident in it, but these videos can be found on YouTube. So if you want to check it out and subscribe, I'm not doing much over there, to be honest. So I don't know. I'm not like these other folks that do all this stuff on YouTube and everything. Maybe someday, but anyway, I wanted to talk about hot flashes. So I did a poll in the group, and several of you voted, and I appreciate that. One of the main things was women and plant medicine, so women's health and plant medicine. So we're going to start with my favorite subject, not hot flashes, because I am, unfortunately, the queen of hot flashes. My life has been, since age 36, when I would wake up in the middle of the night and have to throw the cover off my feet and my legs to get cool, I've had hormonal imbalances pretty much my entire adult life. So when I started perimenopause, which is that period of time when your estrogen starts to shift and your progesterone starts to shift and these things start happening hormonally, I started having hot flashes even then. So I can remember, this was terrible, but I was working at Chessie at the time, and I had to go to Golconda because I worked down there a half a day a week, and so it was like an hour drive. And I got there, and I had a really, really bad hot flash. And the nurse looked at me, and she goes, "Oh my God, you're turning red." And I was like, "Ooh," and I just burst into tears. I was overwhelmed with the physiological thing that was going on inside my body, overwhelmed that it was so recognizable that I was called out about that. And I just basically fell apart. I had to call my male employer and say, "I can't work, I'm going home." And I called my provider, and right away she put me on Prozac and Klonopin. Now, I don't fault her for that because that's the norm, right? We give an antidepressant if we're if we're depressed because we're having hot flashes, and then we do Klonopin because we are also suffering from anxiety from hot flashes. And so that was the recipe that she gave me. And the Klonopin was not ever anything that I really relied on at all. The Prozac I took for a while, and then at one point I decided that I didn't want to be on that anymore. And then they say that Effexor is really the better one for hot flashes anyway, but that's a terrible drug. So if you're on that, I'm sorry. It is not a good drug. It is terrible to get off of, and it can also raise your cholesterol. So there's that. But anyway, what is the mechanism of a hot flash? So the medical definition of a hot flash is a condition resulting in a red, flushed face and neck, sweating, an increase in pulse rate, a rapid heartbeat, and it's usually followed by a cold chill. And yes, that's all true. But why does it happen? So normally when our body temperature is normal, we have a thermometer in our brain in the hypothalamus region, and it's there and designed to create balance in our body temperature. So if you go outside and it's freezing cold, like we had a few weeks ago where it was 30 degrees below zero, and you went outside in no coat, I kind of wonder about your mental status if you do that. But if you go outside and you don't have a coat on and it's that cold, your body is going to immediately start compensating. So you'll start to shiver, and you start shivering because it's your body's attempt to keep your vital organs warm. So it pulls all the heat away from the surface of the body into the core of the body to keep your body's heart and kidneys and lungs and liver and all that stuff warm so you don't die. So that is your normal mechanism of action when your body is faced with an extremely cold environment. The opposite is true if you exercise. You're going to sweat because you're exercising, you're raising your body temperature. Your body's going to start sweating to release that heat so that it protects those vital organs. So our body's main function is to protect our vital organs from death. And death can occur with extremes of temperatures either way. And so you got your normal body temperature going on. But what happens when we start getting into menopause or perimenopause and your hormones are starting to fluctuate? And the one main one that we need for good skin, for vaginal health, for good cardiovascular health, and all that is estrogen. But when we start losing estrogen during perimenopause and menopause, then estrogen is to blame basically for our body temperature fluctuations that occur. So there's this receptor called neurokinin 3 or NK3. This controls the thermoregulatory zone inside the hypothalamus. So as estrogen declines, it affects NK3, which in turn results in a dysregulated thermoregulatory zone, and that results in hot flashes. So there's 4 phases of a hot flash. If you've never had one before, I can tell you what they are. So the first phase is your core body temperature will start to go up. Blood vessels in the skin will dilate. The skin gets warm and the heart rate speeds up. So it's kind of been described as like an internal furnace. Like there's this furnace deep inside that all of a sudden is switched on high, and you can feel it. It starts inside and it emanates outside to the skin, and it causes anxiety. It does for me, but that's all part of it. So anyway, phase 2, the heat will become more and more intense. The skin will turn red. Phase 3, the heart rate peaks. You start sweating. The anxiety sets in. In phase 4, the chill begins as your body attempts to cool down. So there are also categories of hot flashes. None. Good for you if you've never had one. I had a patient ask me one time, well, what is a hot flash? And she says, I think I might have had one on January 1st. I'm like, oh my God, why? Anyway, none to mild, and that's just an awareness of suddenly being warm, but your normal activities are not impaired. Moderate phase is you flash. The flash is your fear. So you get that hot flash, and then your activities become seriously impaired, and you kind of want to start pitching clothes, like get the clothes off. I got to get them off. And then severe hot flashes, and this has been what I've experienced, and the sweat will literally roll down your back between the cracks of your butt cheeks, turn bright red from head to toe. You can't think, you can't function, you hate everyone, and flashes occur 20 to 30 times a day. Unfortunately, that's been my story. I have prayed and prayed and prayed, like, God, please, please stop. I don't want any more. I cannot take this anymore. And I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know why this has been going on for years and years and years. I've gone through, obviously, phases of hot flashes. I did use hormone replacement therapy. The rules are you can use hormone replacement therapy in the shortest dose possible for the shortest amount of time safely. And I had used, it was just a spray it on your arm. And I used that for several years. And then I got that breast cancer. And then once that happened, they said, oh, you can't take hormones anymore. Well, that medical advice and that philosophy has sort of shifted a little bit over the years, but we'll talk about that later. So what's the solution to having these hot flashes like this? So you wait it out and hope for the best. You start your replacement therapy, or you experiment with CBD and cannabis. And we're going to talk about that in the next video. I'm also going to present different essential oils that you can use also to support hormone health in perimenopause and menopause. So that is it for today. You guys have a great Monday, and be blessed. Let's break the stigma.